Hey guys, it's Peter Cunha, broker owner of Open Doors Realty, the New Jersey real estate giant, here with my buddy David.baum from Cross Country Mortgage.
How's it
How you
going,
doing?
everybody? What's up, Pete? How you doing today on this Tuesday? Fine
Oh my
Tuesday.
God, come on. This was the number that we were all waiting for. CPI number this morning. I don't know why I get so excited. It's like Christmas every month, I guess, to see how inflation numbers are playing out. So uh,
Yeah.
give
Yeah,
us a
no,
top level.
yeah, it looks like at least inflation's decreased, right? It declined a little bit year over year, which is great news. 10-year treasuries dropped really nicely this morning. Mortgage-backed securities are doing well, and 10-year treasuries below 3.50 right now, which is good news. And we're hopefully we're past that that peak of interest rates, and we're like I said, I've been talking about hopefully hitting that downward trend of that roller coaster and getting over that top. The back of the coaster is finally hitting that before it starts coming back down. So we're in a good spot, and hopefully we'll keep it going. But we've got some strong support levels that we've passed, and hopefully rates are going to continue to get better.
Yeah, one of my coaches, Brian Buffini, actually had his bold predictions for 2023. What he does a really nice job is he gets Dr. Yam, who's the chief economist for like the NAR, National
Sure.
Association of Realtors, and
Yep.
just kind of piggybacking from your sentiment. I know you and I have been talking about Barry Habib with this whole roller coaster ride, and yeah, I think the consensus now going into the camp that we have hit. Surpassed the peak on the interest rates. Whether or not we go to 8 at this stage, it was almost kind of a layup or discussion going into the end of the year. And it's like now it's, hey, listen, looks like we're starting to see light at the end of the tunnel. Um, One of the things that we're discussing is how next year shapes up from two perspectives. One is transaction count, right? Because people are on the fence. I mean, you're paying 3% interest or you're locked in. You locked into a rate and you were forced to buy a house that you didn't necessarily love because you were just trying to buy a house. So let's talk a little bit about this, kind of the process. I think one of the things that people are always asking me, and I always reach out to you, but is or a title person is closing costs. So let's spend some time discussing that so people have a better understanding of, at least in New Jersey, what goes towards the closing costs.
Yeah, definitely. I do financing in multiple states, so we're going to focus in on New Jersey in this case. Typically in New Jersey, right? And I get a lot of people that come to me asking me the same question: what are my closing costs? It's like I hear one person telling me this, I hear one person telling me that, right? And really, there's two types of closing costs in essence. You have your hard costs, and then you got your soft costs, but they make up your closing costs. And a lot of times people don't even talk about the soft costs because it's just they want to make it look like their numbers are better than others. But typically, you have closing costs when you purchase a place. And if it's giving a rough estimate of what's the percentage of the purchase price of what your closing costs are, it's going to depend. It's going to depend on the real estate taxes. In Jersey, we've got high taxes, right? So that makes up your soft costs. But really, your hard costs of your closing costs are typically, and all companies have a lender fee, right? Whether it's an application fee or it's underwriting or it's processing or whatever, you typically have a lender fee of some sort. You're going to have an appraisal, right? Unless there's an appraisal waiver that is granted, typically there's an appraisal fee. We don't disclose a home inspection fee because that's done obviously upfront before pretty much we start the mortgage process. But that's a fee that a buyer would typically have, which the realtor would help out with that part and handle that process. But after the appraisal, there's typically a tax service fee, credit report fees, anything of that nature. There's going to be attorney fees in New Jersey, typically in Central and North Jersey, when attorneys are being utilized. South Jersey, sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. But typically you have an attorney fee, and then the title company, they're going to have some sort of a settlement fee, title fees, right? There's a lender and an owner portion of a title policy. There's also a lot of other fees, that go around with the title company for them doing their searches and their services and things like that. On top of that, they have to record the mortgage and the deed. That's a few $100, right? And then more on your soft costs, there's, per diem interest, which is just whenever you close to the end of the month, as well as you're going to have your home insurance policy. You're going to have your real estate taxes. That has to get paid for, at least for the first year, for your home insurance. And they're going to put a couple months in escrow, and for your taxes, they'll collect the next quarter and put money in escrow as well. So on a typical, $400,000 purchase, depending on the taxes, if the taxes are, say, $8,000, right? On the house, you think 8, 9 grand, maybe $9,000. That's almost $4,500 in taxes alone they got to collect as soft costs for closing. So you got $4,500 in taxes, which is about 5 months, or maybe it's about $4,000, let's just say, which is about 5 months out of like maybe $9,000 a year. And then also home insurance paid for a year, plus 2-3 months in escrow there. So you're almost looking like, call it almost $6,000 just in taxes and home insurance, right? If that is the case, those are the numbers. So you add that up plus the other hard costs and everything else, your closing costs may be, $9, 10, 11, $12,000 in that range. If it's a higher purchase price and the taxes are higher, the closing costs could be 15, 16,000. It just depends on, really that taxes is a big, big number, because if they need 5 months of that, unless they're not escrowing, they'll still have to pay the next quarter. But typically people that escrow their taxes and home insurance, that's a good, true, honest answer of all the closing costs that you're going to have. People will tell you differently, but you're going to have those fees.
Right. And just to cover my butt, right? Like this is one that I get, especially from first-time home buyers. They've been saving up. Generally what I say is it's somewhere between 2 and 3%, right? And I know I'm being on the high side, but I'd rather, say, like you said in your example, 400,000, that they have at least 12,000 set aside for closing costs. If they're putting 20% down, they're looking at, almost 100,000 just to get started. Now, obviously you don't have to put down 20%. You can talk to you about those options.
Mhm.
And just in general consensus too, it's like, knowing that the closing costs, and I've seen people back out of a deal because they didn't have that extra, say, 10 grand, let's say. And the reality is that, it's that should have been discussed way ahead of time before we actually got to that point. And it's it's a learning curve, but it's, now that we're talking it out, it's, it should be pretty standard, and it hasn't been all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta be careful. I mean, right now, when the market has changed and turned, I mean, some buyers have been actually getting a seller concession approved, right? To
Right.
help pay for some closing costs. That, a couple months back, that a seller wasn't entertaining a seller concession, right? To help pay for closing costs. So,
That's
I mean, seller definitely not entertain that. But right now you're going to have the costs. Be prepared for it. Depending on some buyers, they may be eligible, for, a potential grant, with the state to, help. But then, that may tie them in where they cannot refinance if they go to that, for at least 5 years, because it's a special type of program. Or there's lots of different things out there. Everybody is different, right? Every situation is different. You might be able to get the seller to pay for your closing costs. They might be able to take a higher interest rate and get a credit back towards closing costs, right? And balance things out that way as well. There's lots of different options. You just got to speak to a lender that understands, the process, and, we'll give you options, and that's what we'll do.
Right. That's That's another thing, man. It's what we're talking about is just the fact that most realtors and I guess lenders too, to an extent, they don't even know what a normal market is, right? Like the last 2 years has been just kind of a feeding frenzy. Shove it down the throat. Like if you want this house, you got to waive everything and name your grandchild after, after the seller's mother's father or like whatever. It's kind of crazy because now we're going to normal times. And it's like being educated, God knows I learned, I think one of the best sessions that we've had was on VA loans because I had no idea that there were certain restrictions as to transferability and stuff like that. So, again, when it comes to closing costs, is it safe to say you're looking at anywhere from 2 to 3%, possibly even more, depending
Mhm.
on certain reasons.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would say 2.5 to 3 plus, but it's, obviously 500,000, 2.5 would be around 12.5. I mean, it's a good roundabout number, give or take, it's plus or minus though. If you're going buying into a condominium association, you may have, capital contribution, application fee up front. You may have an extra 12 to 1,500 bucks in fees for that.
right.
Right? I mean, it's all relative, but I try and explain all that in detail with the clients, and we'll run estimated quotes so we have a pretty good idea. Not going to be 100% accurate because nothing is up front, but we'll run that and we'll estimate attorney fees and things of that nature, and get a roundabout number for overall closing costs.
Okay. And I think that's a good point. A lot of the people that are asking me this is typically the millennials. I'm hearing, predictions that millennials will be buying, 2/3 of millennials will be buying houses in the next 2 to 3 years. So, which is just, it's bananas because we don't have inventory. That's another topic that we talked about. It's just, we have 4 times less inventory than we did during the housing crash. New constructions are down at an anemic scale. Two factors that play importance is the interest rates and then material costs. So, you can't turn a profit on this new construction, so they're just not building. Um, so Dave, the favorite part, let me put you some, what's going into the new year? Do you have anything special planned, to celebrate New Year's?
New Year's holidays. No, I wish I was going out to the Rose Bowl, but watch my Penn State Nittany Lions, but it might be a little challenging. I have to take my kids out there, and I don't think
Right.
that's gonna all work out. So probably gonna stay local, but may go do a little bit of snowboarding. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, good for you, man.
What about you? What are your plans?
I'm turning 50 on January 2nd, so
Woo!
we're not racing to the finish line just yet. Yeah, it's one of those miracle numbers that I'm just
Yeah,
grateful to like.
milestone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's for my 40th, it was we went to Barcelona, Amber and I, and this year we decided that we're just waiting for our condo in Portugal to be finished, which, was originally scheduled for January, February. Now it's backed into March. So
Okay.
uh just holding off for that trip. So
They got supply chain issues in Portugal too.
they have gas, they or lack of, so that's their biggest issue right now. But Dave, I appreciate your time. I think today was like, just you can tell I'm a little bit giddier. Just I know that these inflation numbers have been kind of depressing the last couple of at least this quarter.
Listen, I mean, I've been saying it all along. I mean, I can't stress about, the stuff that I can't control. And I've
Right.
been saying better days are ahead, like, and it's true. And, I've been saying it for months, and, I wasn't overly, stressed about it just because I knew it's tough times, right? And it's not gonna be that way forever, and things are getting better, and we'll continue. So, obviously we just more inventory that comes out, the better off we'll be because there's a surplus of buyers, right? That are
Oh,
waiting in the wings, and some are waiting a little bit longer if they can't afford it based on affordability. But we've definitely got, options and programs for almost anyone.
Right, and Dave, I just want to stress before we do let go as well, one of the big things you mentioned being multi-state licensed, I'm part of two ecosystems that cover basically all of the US, if not international, definitely Canada. Um, if you're looking to buy or you have questions, we have ecosystems, we can answer your questions. If I'm not the person that can directly answer them or Dave can, we certainly have contacts definitely throughout the US, if not worldwide. Like I said, I'm buying that condo in Portugal. I could tell you more about that. That's a whole different session. So
All
I
right,
just
cool.
wanted to make sure people knew that because people are moving for multiple reasons: taxes, warmer weather, retirement, and everything out of state. So we certainly
Sure,
got you
we can,
covered in all.
yep, you can't, we can help out more ways than one outside of New Jersey if that's the case. So, have a great, holiday season, obviously, everybody, Hanukkah, Christmas, anything that you celebrate, and Happy New Year if we don't, jump on another Zoom call before.
All right, man.
All right,
Dave, as always, appreciate your time, man.
all right, you too, Pete. Thanks a lot.
Later, bud. Bye.